Hi folks, let's set up a scene for Game Creator. I'm starting with a completely empty scene. I downloaded and installed Game Creator. Check my channel for the video on how to do that. I'm using the default setup. If you want to make your Unity window look like mine, go to the upper right hand corner and pull down Layout, and then select Default, and it will set up just like this. We need some kind of surface for our player to stand on, so we go to the hierarchy for that. Right click, go to 3D Object, and select Plane. That will create a plane in the middle of your screen. Now, a really good idea for this is to actually go into your inspector and let's zero out this plane and make sure that it's exactly in the center. It just makes things a little bit easier to manage while you're building in your scene. Now this is a little bit small, so I'm going to actually increase the size of this by adding to the scale on the X and the Z or Z. Make X 10 and make Z 10 as well. That way we'll have a nice big area and we won't end up falling off the edge very easily. Okay, let's add a player. Go back to the hierarchy and we're going to right click again in the hierarchy, a blank area of the hierarchy. Go to Game Creator, Characters, and then select Player. I'm going to do that again. Right click in the hierarchy on a blank place, go to Game Creator, select Characters, and then Player, and then click on that. And you'll get a character eventually. It may be a little slower than mine. Let's zoom in here so that we can see this character. The player is the one you'll be able to control during gameplay. So it has a lot of other components in the inspector. The cool thing is it's pretty much set up for you, but they left control over some details to the game designer. With the player selected, let's rotate them so that we can see them from the front. Let's do it at 90 degrees. So we'll go to the Y in your transform up here, and we will make that 180. That will switch. You'll notice the player turned on that one. So now we can see the player. We're going to also set the Y position to 0.01. So they're just barely above that zeroed out plane. Okay, let's look at the player parameters in the inspector. You'll go right here to under player character, basic parameters. The locomotion is, can this player move, and if they are controllable. You can select whether they can run or not and the speed at which they would run. You can also select whether they can jump or not. If you go to advanced parameters, this is the direction they face. You can have them face the direction they're moving, or you can change that to another direction here. Can use nav mesh is something that you would use if you are using a nav mesh. If not, you can leave it blank. For the purposes of this tutorial and future ones, we won't be needing to use this at this point. If you look at the player input, let me just close those. The player input is, I'm using directional, which is using the ASDW keys. You can also use point and click, which gives you the options of which mouse buttons it would move to. And then you can just look at the others that are available here. A follow pointer means that it's going to follow a pointer as it hovers. Side scroll X and side scroll Z. These are different ways of doing a scrolling like 2D game. And then there's tank control, which is much like moving like a tank. You can choose whichever way you'd like. I'm going to stick to directional on this one. Then we have the model. You can drop a custom model here if you would like to use one. The inverse kinematics is simply about how the body moves and how the model moves. The ragdoll is how the model would die, if it falls down, how it looks. And then the character controller, this is a little bit more about how your character can move through the world, and its radius and height are important, as well as the slope limit and step offset. So you can change these so that your character can move through either easier or with a little more difficulty. Okay, so let's test this out and see what this looks like. All right, I'm able to move my character. I'm using the W key here, the S key here, the A key, and the D key. Now let's see what happens here. Oh, the character goes off screen. So we need to now figure out how we can get a camera that will work for this. So let's stop there. Let's figure out how we can make this camera follow the player now. Okay. Here is the next thing that we need to do. Go over to your hierarchy, and we're going to right click in it, and we're going to go to Game Creator and Other, and then Camera Motor. Okay, again, right click, Game Creator, Other, Camera Motor. And let's add that in to this scene. Now we have a camera motor. Okay, that's excellent. So that's going to be the way that we can make this camera follow the player. The camera motor is how we can see around the world. Okay. But before we do that, there's a really important step that you don't want to miss. So click on Main Camera here. Now, if you go over to your inspector and look down here, Camera Controller, it says there's no camera motor. So click on the little button here, and you're going to select Camera Motor here. That's what we just added. And now you've got a camera controller. Now, let's go back to the camera motor. You want to be in the motor and look here at your options. If you click next to where it says Adventure Camera, it says Change. This is where you can change between different cameras depending on what you want. I'm going to just show you the adventure camera one, but you can certainly, a first-person camera is like for a shooter. A fixed camera just is set in one place in the world, and you can make it follow the player. A follow camera literally follows the player, whichever way you'd like, etc. And you can figure out the railways for like a 2D platformer style. All right, so I'm going to leave it on adventure camera. The target direction is just the way that I'm going to be initially faced. The player is what the target will follow. You can have it follow other things. It just depends on what you need. And then the target offset is how far the camera is from your player or from your target. Leaving all this. Allow orbital input. That means you can rotate around the target. I'm going to change this to hold left mouse. Then you can change all of these parameters the way you would like them to work. You can change the pitch. You can change a lot of things. So you're going to have to really play with this to figure out how you like it to work. So let's just test this right now and let's see how it looks. So here's my character. I can move. I can definitely run. I can even go this way. Look. Okay. And then to move, I left clicking to rotate around my character, and I can kind of do that even while I'm moving. So the adventure camera is very loose and very easy to kind of use as a player. It's something that you may want to look at a little bit more. But basically, you have to spend some time really getting to know the different camera motors so that you can get the effect you want in your game. So that completes this tutorial. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you would like more simple, short tutorials. I am aiming at about 5 tutorials in this series. If you need help, see the links in the description below. Bye, folks.